Peace and welcome to Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry for another StreamYard. Wow, we're back here again. My name is Priest Ricardo, and have here with me today Ezekiel and
Peace.
Natalie.
Hey.
Yeah. Right. So today we want to talk about passing your children through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very touching topic because today we always bank on our children and how our children should grow, how we should lead them, what we should do with them. And today you have all this media all around and stuff all just off leading us and send us all in directions. And then you've got like people trying to lead them astray and to put them in different places and denominations and things to make them believe that this is the correct way. So our children get misled. So we might do a job of trying to raise them up and trying to say, right, this is the way you want to go. Even though you might be following this way, and you bring your child to say, you know what, I want you to go this way too. But then you've got a lot of these false prophets out there, these false leaders, these people who wants to lead your children astray, you know? So it makes it 10 times harder for you to now raise a child. Like back in the day, we say, it took a village to raise a child, right? But this is what we look at in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. It's not just one because I'm a parent of my child that I raise my child. It might take the uncle, the auntie, and we all come as a family unit. So we all raise the child together. So I should be able to trust my child in your company where it'd be like, it might be sitting with the uncle and I'll be leaving, no problem. I could leave him with the leader and I could go and be no problem because we all know and we trust what the other one's doing because we've all got that duty of raising the child. So we are parent, we're renting the child, we're literally, it's only with us for a time being. So we're raising them up for our liking to say, I want my child to serve my God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, where he would be looking towards that direction. But anyway, I want to talk about the stuff right now, what's actually out there in the media today, which the whole world banks and focuses on. As we all know and we're aware of the story of the Della Lama case, right? And so what happened with that is that this is an 87-year-old man, you know. Um, Dalai Lama is a title given by the Tibetans people to be the foremost spiritual leader of the school of Tibetan Buddhism. Right now, everybody's aware. I don't want to focus too much on all that stuff. What's really gone out there? I'm just want to just pull it out there. Like, look, these things are happening, and it's been spreaded around. You know what's out there in the media. You know the video went out. Don't need to discuss and all that because it's quite disgusting to be honest when you think about it, but it's out there and then everyone knows about it. It's just stating facts right now because everyone knows this already. So it's nothing new to what I'm saying. We're just bringing that topic and awareness that how we want to raise our children, put them forward, you know what I mean? To go in the right direction and leading them into these wolves, dressed up in sheep's clothing, you know what I mean? So me watching just like these things are like terrible what's happening around the world.
Mm.
And it just seemed like people has the right to just say, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do, and it's okay. And maybe sometimes it might not get spread in the media. So you know what, millions of people get away with these things. Which here in the Israelite nation, we try to raise our children in the correct way and bring them up to our father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? But there's many other situations in the world what's happened just like that same one we're talking about now. Right
Mm.
now, he's the hot topic, isn't it? Because you're thinking like, wow, you're gonna be so brazen to do that, and because he was captured, now, hey, the whole world knows about it. What do we do about it? So we're talking about right now. I'm gonna pass you on to um, Ezekiel. You
You
wanna
know
say
what? I
something
really
on that?
like. I love the build up of that. I really like the idea of unity and identity, especially since us as Israelites, we're collective people. We're one body. We operate under one spirit, and I think the biggest important thing that you mentioned here is how we can go to one another for guidance, for help, because we all are part of the same source, which is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, which is so important to our development, our trajectory in life, how we operate, how we think, how we feel, regulating our emotions, etc. It's a trusted environment where we're raising one another, where we're policing one another, but more importantly, where we come together to put our hands towards the heaven and worship the God of Israel. And so when you see situations such as this one in institutions that are really, really highly organized, I'm talking very highly organized, that have been foundational to the creation of the country, you start to question things like what's going on in the world? Like, how do these things even happen? How do you trust such high leaders that have a huge following? Because they're influencers pretty much. They set the tone of how you should act and conduct yourself across society. They make cultural revolutions occur within pop culture and media. These people, when you reach a certain status, it then comes to you a higher sense of responsibility because of what you can do and the things that you can influence on the world. And so there comes a lot of accountability and a lot of extra care that you have to take when it comes to showing a message or even conducting yourself, especially when it comes to the children, the most vulnerable and the most influential of our society. We have to be very, very careful of what we're saying, how we're conducting ourselves, what we're teaching them, particularly because they look up to the older people, they look up to spiritual leaders, and how much more the Dalai Lama, who is the head of the Tibetan people of Buddhism. And it's not even just in this culture. There are other highly organized institutions as well that have spiritual leaders that people look up to. However, there have been cases, all throughout the years, even in recent years, of certain misuse of power. Some situations that have been recently recorded was a situation in Pennsylvania in 2018, where it was found that more than 1,000 children had been abused by more than 300 priests of a state alone over a period of several decades. That's 300 children. So 300 priests and 1,000 children. That's trauma. And I'm not to like people that understand the severity of this, because trauma, it carries on. You may have it as a child, but it pathologizes. It just goes on to the next generation and onwards and onwards and onwards. And it's something that should really be looked at carefully and considered very carefully, because children are very absorbent. They absorb a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, their experiences around them from very, very young. So it's very important that we treat them very well and show them, nurture them appropriately. But that's just one of many cases. Another case in 2019 from the Southern Baptist Church, which was reported that around February 10, 2019, roughly 380 clergy and lay leaders and volunteers had faced allegations of misconduct within a venereal nature, leaving behind over 700 victims. 700 victims. So it's not even just in Pennsylvania. You also have it in other places within America, which is a huge country. And the last report was in the United Methodist Church, found that more than 1,600 clergy and lay members of the church had been accused of carnal abuse over a period of several decades. So it's the same story, just different place, different country, and it's very concerning. Like these are what we know of too, because it was mentioned, it was found out, it was an investigation. But there are some places where there hasn't been no investigation occurring yet, that no one really knows of yet. But what are your thoughts about that, Auntie Natalie?
I just believe that things abuse is, especially when in the name of religion, is done um every day. Abuse is widespread, as you said, across the world. Um, and many leaders have come forward and apologized for the abuse that some of their own priests and clergy have done onto children over the years. And this is years and years of abuse that
Mm.
has been in the biggest religions, that has been that has been swept under the carpet and kept quiet. And as you mentioned, Ezekiel, it's generational abuse, and the trauma goes on throughout generations and generations. Um, the video we're talking about regarding the Dalai Lama, that, as it's been put out, it's been on social media, it's worldwide, and enough. If that was a normal person, the person would have been maybe been arrested, whatnot, faced other conduct, um, criminal conduct, but that's been normalized now. So they've seen this spiritual leader involved in such behavior, and now it's normalized. The abuse is normalized,
You know
and
what? It's funny because you even see that they're trying to brush it on the rug, and even some of them trying to defend it. But the
Mhm.
biggest thing that we have to mention here is the office sent out an apology. And for those of you that are out there in cyberland, an apology is a confession of guilt. So you know that you're in the wrong. That's why you're making an apology in the first place. Because it's messed up. Even they themselves know by their actions of making that apology in the first place. And and I know some of them don't really share the same sentiment of what went wrong, like with the Dalai Lama's actions. They condemned it because that's not what it means to be of that people. It was the wrong representation that was shown to the world.
Mm.
And it's very important that you really crack down on these certain things, because like Priest Ricardo mentioned before, the stuff disseminates, especially when you have trauma, that you build it in, you hold it in, and then someone has an experience with you, and that experience is a bad experience because of what you've suffered in the past. And
Mm.
that person is carrying that bad experience with you, and they're going to give it to another person, and it's going to go slowly go out there and out there and out there. And then before you know it, everyone's just in shambles right now. So it's just a lot of trouble. It's a huge mess, big mess.
And also it's abuse. They say that abusers go on to abuse. So this is just a period of years and years and years of abuse, which has
Mm,
been normalized and which has been okay by spiritual leaders, which take advantage of their parishioners, of their congregation, and
yeah.
as us and as parishioners, they leave their children in the care of these clergy or leaders.
Exactly. That's a huge point. You're passing at this point. You're passing your child into the fire because of who those people of what their practices are over there, and how it's been very common and everything like that. It's highly concerning. Highly concerning.
Like it's like as well. It's like where there's a lot of things where in the world, like people keep all these things and all these stuff what's not written. We stick to the scriptures of what is written, what we keep it. But people will choose these things, and everything nowadays is banked on the children. Everything. Oh, but it's about the children. It's about the children. So where does the parents? Where's their place in all this then? If it's
Mm,
just about the children, so we just feed them to wolves? Do we just say, okay, yeah, go there because it's for the children? And everything is about the children. So we've got to protect our children. Because as you see that case, you see the child was there with this man doing what he wanted to do. Where was the parent? Or did the parent know about it? Did they trust it? Did they what is that about? You see what I'm saying? Like,
mm,
are we accepting it? Because it's said it's about the children. So somebody could tell you a story and say, okay, you know what? Let me just let my child go. It's okay because we've accepted maybe that leader.
Mm.
And what makes him be able to get away with these things, or why he would be so brazen and so bold? Because there's a load of people sitting there watching.
mm,
It's not like if it was done behind closed doors and people witness these stuff and they're sitting there watching and yeah, and they might be cheering it on. You don't know. Was the dad getting paid? The mum getting paid? Who knows? Are they getting the position? We've got to
mm,
look at these things of where these false leaders are able to run with this and able to do these things. You know
mm,
what I mean? Is it encouraged? Is it, what is that? But I
Mm.
know these days we bank everything on the children. That's why it's so important where we put our children when we look at our children. And yes, I also know that we could be the best parent we are, and the children's gonna go off anyway because society takes hold of that.
mm-hmm.
You know? So if we with this, we gotta be really on this and really be teaching them, as it says in Deuteronomy in 7. Maybe we could turn to that. Yeah, let's just turn to that real quick. Let's just go to Deuteronomy 7 real quick.
Deuteronomy 7. And
And I,
before you even get there, well, real quick, I want to add to real quick, because silent is half consent when you're silent about these things. And so the people in their office, people that witness these things, and they don't make any mention about it, they're all consenting. They all approve of those hideous and evil actions.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to add as well. You mentioned about the children as from their birth born up until they're indoctrinated they're indoctrinated into schools. They're indoctrinated within the church from when,
Mm,
and in their groups, and it's always about getting the children as babies. So
mm-hmm,
and offering them onto their own um churches, gods, whatnot. And that's just the worrying part, especially in society when you see that the children have so much on TV, on social media, on the TikToks, and so
Yeah,
much given to them through this screen that then they take in and absorb.
which is ridiculous. And before we transition, I think it was Jeremiah 7, but the idea of sacrifice, because the title of this is, passing your child through the fire, which is a sacrifice.
Mhm.
You're giving, you're giving power to whatever entity that needs that kind of sacrifice. As Israelites, we don't really do that. We don't do that stuff, but other gods may want that. They may require that, which we're about to read just now in Jeremiah 7, verse 30. But in the sense that when you do a sacrifice, you give up one thing to obtain a better thing, whether it's passing your child in this case into a place where they abuse them for a better
Yeah,
position in the church. And then people may think that sacrifice is worth it, that trade-off is worth it. People want to trade off their children for a better lifestyle, or they want to trade off their children for a better recipient.
it's
But
true because a
that's
lot of people get paid out for it, and they, they receive something. That's the
mhm,
sacrifice you're making, you're making it for a reason to gain. Do you want to
100%.
read that one first?
Yeah, so if you go to Jeremiah chapter
Go on,
7
then read
verse.
that first, and I'll go off after.
Are you gonna go first?
No, go do
Okay,
that
okay.
first.
And,
That's
and
fine.
before I even go into this, I want to really, I'm so grateful to the Israel Nation Worldwide Ministries, to even have this knowledge, understanding, and even this wisdom to see these kind of things in the world. Because a lot of people are just out there living their lives with no understanding, and they fall victim to these things left, right, and center. They don't know any better because they lack the vision, the sight to see and the ears to hear, what is right and what is wrong. And so I'm grateful to my eldest shout back into the priesthood and to the leadership of the nation for opening my eyes and stretching my vision and allowing me to be able to conduct myself in a way that's acceptable of the God of the Bible, even more the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But yeah, man, very happy. But Jeremiah 7, from the 30th verse, for the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it, and they have built the high place of Tophet, which is the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I condemned them not, neither came into my heart. So look, you already read from the start. You already see that the God of Israel is disappointed in the actions of his people in burning their sons and daughters to the fire, and how he, the God of Israel himself, even condemns the actions of that, because it's not of the way of Israel. That's not what we do here. That's not our practice. We do not pass our children through the fire. What are you guys' thoughts on that, though?
No, that's correct. As I said, like you're the parent, and you're the one who should be governing your child and leading them that way. So if that's what you want to start with your child doing, like people's got all bright ideas. I mean, when you look at the scriptures, what we do, you offer up the child and name him and you circumcise him. We keep into the laws of Israel what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
We're going back from years. It's not something we just made up and said, well, okay, let me go and do this now. Because where are you seeing all these stuff? Where is that written? You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
probably written somewhere now because somebody wrote about it and done it and said, yeah, let's go follow this way now. But we've gone back from day one, from Abraham's time and what it was said to do. You know what I mean? So this is what we stick and do here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. So if you want to do that from the get-go, then this is where, we end up leading our children astray from the get-go. So you
mhm,
pass your children over the fire for that sacrifice, and hey, it depends what you're trying to gain out of it. I know for me and my child, and I want my child to grow up and to serve my God, because I know this is the true and the right way. So of course I'm gonna do everything I could do to show my child to serve my God, which I'm
mhm,
gonna get him named and he's gonna be circumcised. He's gonna be doing all the correct things what enables you to serve this God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even call upon his name. And as young as the child is, they could speak for themselves. They'll go to the school and they'll talk for themselves and say who they are. They'll stay away from all unclean foods and everything like that because it's what you train them to do. So if you allow them to just run like headless and doing all manner of things and you start them off at that, then hey, this is what's gonna happen, right?
Exactly. And notice how it says, evil in the sight of the Lord. So you read from verse 30, and you read, "For the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it." But the evil aspect, considering the fact that this type of sacrifice is a terrible sacrifice, it's to the point where it's like it's truly malicious, malign, terrible. And God Himself is saying it. So
Mm.
what does it have to say about that? Especially if it's being conducted in those places within the world that are so-called holy places, which is very questionable, especially considering their actions and their practices. You will know them by their fruit, which we'll talk about later. But it doesn't make no sense. How is it the highest, the most important, holiest places in the world are doing the most evilest things?
Yeah, but you see what though? Even with that when you say about the evil on the side of the Lord, why is it evil? Because you've been given the instruction beforehand on what to do, right?
Mm,
So these people out there, they're already doing these things, but you know, unfortunate for them, they've been given the law, right? So they're already, done away with, really. Because at the end of the day, they're doing the evil because we've been given instruction what to do. So if you go away from that and start doing your own thing, then you know what I mean. You're gonna do bad. But
yeah.
we've been given the instruction. There's nothing been changed. It's people decided to do their own thing and serve other gods and do all manner of things what they do out there in the world today.
Yeah.
It also goes to show as well is the influence from outside, which why um people think that these things are okay to do. Is the influence outside. If in this scripture point blank tells you that the God of Israel has not commanded these things, but that the children of Judah have done this anyway in His name. But He's blatantly commanded that this is not what should happen. So it goes to show what influences are round about, which is why the people think that it's okay when it's clear information and clear commandments that says no, we shouldn't be doing this.
And you know what? I think that was a perfect segue to our next part because we're talking about the laws here and how the laws differentiate between what is good and what is evil and what is right and what is wrong, which is highly important when it comes to you being sanctified and being on the side of the Lord and being on the other side. And so if you go to Leviticus chapter 20 from the first verse, which I'm going to read. But before I even read it, just to tag into or to Velcro off Auntie Natalie, one thing that a common conversation in psychology particularly is socialization.
Mm-hmm.
How it can be horizontal or even vertical. Vertical meaning that your parents would socialize their children. So it's a top bottom kind of process. But the biggest thing that most people forget is there's horizontal socialization as well when it comes to your children going to school and being socialized from the children of other parents. So it gets quite messy. So it depends how strong your child is rooted and grounded into their foundation of their identity and who they are, what they know, and what they believe in, which is very important. And whoever has the strongest will or conviction will win that fight, which would result in the child either losing their way or helping other people find a better way or a better path that stems away from bad teachings that come from home. Which is just something I just wanted to quickly mention about socialization. But yeah, Leviticus 20 from the first verse. And the Lord speak unto Moses, saying, Again thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever be of the children of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Moloch, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones, and I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given on his seed unto Moloch to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man, when he give of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and will that go a whoring after him, to commit whoredom with Moloch from among their people. And the souls that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. Sanctify yourself therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God, and ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. This scripture right here, to me, it really tells you how the God of Israel feels about the situation. This is him. He's serious. Look at the words he's using. Whoring after them, or even the fact that you have profaned his name. All of it just shows you, the God of Israel takes this very, very seriously. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? It's just like I just said, like we've been given this law, the statutes, the commandments. There's only one and true living God. So when you go and horror after them, he said what he would do, he'll destroy the seed, and he would destroy the person who's gone with and who you're dealing with. Really, it's like there's only one God. There's only one true living God. And when we raise up a child, we should be directing him to that way. Because, as I said, it's like, you want to go there? No problem. Here's the consequences of that. So don't complain when these things start happening to you, but here's the consequence. But we've been given direction. We've been given order. We've been given purpose. You know what I mean? So there's no need to whore after these gods because there's no other God out there. There's no true living God. All these other gods are dead. They mean nothing. They're worthless. You see what I mean? So of course, then the God of Israel get angry, and he said, sanctify yourself, therefore, and I'll be holy, for I am the Lord your God. You know what I mean? I'm your God. So bring that services to me. I want your child to respect me. Raise up your child because I am that God. I'm the one who created everything. You know what I mean? So,
and can
I mean, it's makes
I,
sense.
I was want to bring it to verse 2 with that scripture as well. And it says, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel. So it makes a definitive of who it's talking about, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel. So the strangers, the people that are round about Israel, the people that they do business with or whatnot, whoever that giveth any of his seed unto Molech. And it goes again what we're talking about with the influences from outside. Like Israel has its commandments, Israel has its laws, Israel has the information of what they need to do in order to serve our God. But the God of Israel is very careful about having others around about them that will make them fall off. Because as we know in the days of old, Israel always goes about serving after others. So the God of Israel is very careful in what he puts out there in order to keep the children of Israel on the straight and narrow.
And you know what?
Yeah,
I'd like to touch back because it sounds very personal when the way he says it. And considering that Molech is a god, if you guys don't know that, Molech is a god that people use to put children through the fire. It's that little owl creature. I don't have an image of it, but you will see if you go on the internet, you type in Molech, you would see you would see the images of the god Molech and how it was used for sacrificing children, but particularly how the God of Israel would himself would set his face against the man and will cut him off from among his people. Like that is serious. But what also comes to my mind is also the commandments, which is the first commandment: thou shalt have no other God before me. The moment you decide to pass your child through the fire, you then put another God before the God of Israel. You broke the first commandment, which why it makes it very personal. You broke commandment 1 and commandment 2.
yeah,
It's highly serious because it's not just a command; it's a law, it's a statute, and it's a commandment. So it's a huge thing, huge.
that's correct. So I wanna bring you. So after this would be perfect now. To bring Deuteronomy 6 1 to 10. So I'm going to read it, right? It says, now these are the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye should do them in the land whether ye go to possess it, that thou mayest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all these statutes and these commandments which I commanded thee, thou and thy sons and their sons' sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Right? Okay, I'm going to just read it through. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord thy God, the Lord God of your fathers, has promised thee in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I commanded thee this day shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them, when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of the house and on the gate. And it shall be when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not. I mean, it goes on to say from there what he done with the house, because we didn't do anything. But just to raise up your child, to give them that right to, as I said, to bind it should be like fronted between your eyes. When you sit in your house, when you lay it down, it should be well with you. It should be within your heart. It's like, don't, let your sons, yeah, that it may prolong their life, even to know this, to follow this way. It's in our duty to teach our children this, that they should walk in this one path, and not to give our children unto these, these false leaders who want to put our children through the fire, as Ezekiel read in Jeremiah. That we don't want to be like that. We want to know that we serve in this one and true living God, that our children should also. But we got to teach our children that, to keep them on the straight and narrow. As I said, sometimes we do our best, but sometimes they might just go astray and go drifting apart. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't do our job. We got to make sure that we protect our children and we do what's right. Do you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I do. And it's in all aspects of society. It's when they go to school, we need to ensure we know what they're being taught. That's why I know a load of people, they homeschool because they know what they're teaching their children. And when in schools and the curriculum is based on information that's contrary to the God of Israel's laws, we need to ensure that we understand what's going on and remove our children if necessary, because what will happen, these things wouldn't be normalized within the school, and our children, as all their friends and associates, understand this, and probably they this is what they do. Our children may think it's right, so we need to understand what's going on in our schools, especially for our children's benefit, because they will be indoctrinated.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. You're not wrong, because a lot of the times when you have teachers, especially in those educational institutions, they're assigned to do one thing, which is, teach this. This is the course. The course is math, or the course is English. But then some of them, they will go beyond the scope of what they're supposed to do. And they would add extra things, add things that may be trivial towards the process of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, your child's indoctrinated some next kind of ideology. It's crazy. People, it's just, yeah, it's just crazy. So they're coming back home, and they're telling you some new things. They've been socialized and conditioned to say or believe some new things, which could be very contrary or very harmful towards the child's development. And you as a parent may not want that, because it goes against what you believe. It goes against your culture. It goes against your religion, potentially. You never know. But personally, or even in a common sense, when you bring your child to those institutions, there's an agreement that this is what you brought them here for. Please don't go beyond the service that I'm paying for as a taxpayer. And sometimes it doesn't really work that way, which is very unfortunate. But which is why we have to be very diligent and cautious, and also have that awareness of, like you mentioned, what's going on at school and what's going on at the homes. But just to even continue down the track of our conversation, I think we have to go to the reason being of why the God of Israel really hates this. And I think what really sums this up very well is Psalms 106, from the 34th verse to the 41st verse.
Just before you go there, Zico, so with this as well, when it says about prolonging your life, and sometimes we feel that, about my life and nothing can happen to me. It doesn't mean that physical death, it's that spiritual death. Sometimes we do these things on a spiritual aspect, it just kills that spirit. It's like you think you're living, but without no purpose. Are you alive? Are you, what is it? Why are you here? You know what I mean? What is it? Why you're here? And these things, even what that guy did, that just kills you. It's like you're doing the wrong things, like eating unclean foods. What we eat, well, not we eat, but what people may eat, right? It states that we shouldn't eat all like unclean foods, right? and you eat it, it just kills you spiritually. It just there's no connection with the God of Israel because He's not giving us these things to eat. You know what I mean? So when you look at that death, it's not always that where you might be alive and you're thinking, oh well, nothing's wrong with me because I'm making tons of money, I've got nice houses and nice cars, and you're living the life what you think it is, but spiritually you're gone. You're missing. There's no understanding. There's no connection. So that's what that could mean, right?
Exactly.
I'll pass you back, Ezekiel.
Yeah, I like what you said. The death of the spirit, because who's feeding that spirit, and then who's approved of that teaching, which I think you have to be very careful of because it can do the exact opposite. It can be very damaging, especially when you weren't qualified to teach in that kind of way,
Yeah.
and which we're gonna get into. You become a false prophet. But yeah, Psalms 106, from 34th verse. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingling among the heathen and learning their works. See, look, we were just talking about this. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. Moloch is a devil. And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto idols of Canaan, and then the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. That sums it up right there. You know the
So
source. It's not even just giving up a sacrifice to a god, but you're giving it unto a devil. You're giving energy. You're giving money to the devil. You're promoting and uplifting the other side, and the value that you're using is your own seed. When you do those kind of things, this which is completely crazy. Were you about to say something, Auntie Natalie?
no, I'm just saying, even just reading it, it's so sad what you just said. It just confirms what you read before, and just the whole situation that the God of that is this innocent seed, and this the God of Israel is just turned. He put because of what the actions of others, he's turned his back away and let those that are against us. We are serving them because of our own actions, and in terms of what we were doing, sacrificing to other gods.
Madness, which is just pretty much crazy at this point. But like, I hope you guys can see the bigger picture of things and how we really built on this, because we first spoke about the whole situation with the Dalai Lama, someone that's a spiritual leader in a high position that has a lot of influence over a lot of children and adults. And then we talked about how this situation occurs in other societies and other places in the world where there are other high leaders that do the same thing and that really corrupt the innocent and hurt and harm the vulnerable. We move into understanding that people do these kind of things in the form of a sacrifice, in the sense that they will give up the value of a child so that they can get something better, whether it be a position, whether it be a car, whether it be money, whether it be some new spiritual power of a sort, etc., which is a sacrifice in and of itself. We then spoke about how the prophets within the Old Testament disapprove of this stuff because that is not the way of Israel. We don't do that. We don't pass our children through the fire, which is that action right there. And then we learned that the God of Israel, it's not about that too. He hates it because you're breaking the commandments at this point. And even more when we reach the Proverbs, sorry, when we reach the Psalms, you learn that when you're sacrificing, you're giving it unto the false gods. And the only way this happens is because false prophets are telling you to sacrifice unto false gods in a way that's conducive for the false gods, which is passing your child through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very poisonous and dangerous and highly, highly evil.
And
What's up?
it's I want to jump on what you just said about giving because you want something back. What you find is amongst all these churches and whatever else is people that are in poverty that follow, right? So people they look up to these leaders in order to get something back. So yes, they sacrifice their children, whatnot, to get something back. But sometimes it's done unknowingly and blindly. They're blindly obedient. And the thing is, the God of Israel, he's always asks for his children to be obedient and to obey. All
Yeah.
right. But what we do, we obey the other side, or we go and do what we're meant to do, what we do for other gods. But then his law, statutes, and commandments are so simple and so clear, but we can't help ourselves. And I just find that, especially, you just find that people will give to others or because they want something back, but a lot of them are in need or poor, which is, in a way, it's something that these elites, these higher ups, they use.
Which is crazy. And just to give you, just to add an example to what you just said, is like when when the leaders of those institutions, when they want money, they turn to the congregation. When the congregation wants money, they tell them to turn to God. Like, what kind of foolishness is that? That's crazy.
Shoot, man. But they need to keep the money in it.
Exactly, innit? And
Pay
then
it in their pocket.
100%. And then they're able to fly across the state within 10 minutes. They go from they go from Alabama to New York to get some cheesecake. And they tell you, oh, we're on a mission to go teach the world. It's highly deceiving. Highly deceiving. And very, very disingenuous, especially being in such a position where people are looking up to you, they trust you, they're looking into you, they're looking for you for guidance. But you guiding them to the fire, you guiding them to hell, you guiding them to the evil. Madness.
And as you can see, the amount of abuse that's happening in these congregations, in these religions, the amount of abuse, where children, women, men, there's so much abuse going on. And it's you're right what you're saying. I've seen it on a few times on social media where pastors would talk about how they need a new jet. But it's so blatant now. It's not even under secret. It's so blatant. I need a new jet, and God wants you to give me money so I can get a new jet, so I can a private jet, and He's got one already. It's just so blatant and a bit abuse of power. It's
crazy. No, yeah. Even when you talk about the form of abuse, I know we're mostly focused on one form, which is the venereal form. However, there are multiple forms of abuse. There's financial abuse. People, the leaders will pressure the congregation to give more and more and more money. But people, they believe so much because their heart's actually into it, to the point where they give to the point where they can't really, they give an amount that they can't really support. So they're financially abusing their pockets. There's emotional abuse. They're tugging on their hearts so that they can do things that they don't really want to do. But then they're guilt tripping them, saying God would want you to do these things, even though it goes against their well-being. It's like it's very evil and corrupted to do those kind of things to a person that's looking for you to guidance. And you're the leader, you're the spiritual leader. So what does that say about your office and everyone else that's following?
Yeah, but these guys are rich guys, and I mean they're well paid spiritual leaders. They're well paid, and as you know, don't know if you know that story of Naaman, when he went to Elijah and he said to him about healing him of the leprosy. And he said to him, well, go to the river Jordan and dunk in there 7 times. And he was mad. I'm just cutting the story right down, but I just thought this is just you just saying it. And he said to him, well, if you go to the river Jordan, just dunk in the river 7 times to be clean. He was mad. Because he thought that Elijah was going to come out and start doing some performance, jumping all around and saying, I am this and that. And, Elijah said that he's going to know that there's a God in heaven. He's going to know about my God today and what he's about. So he just sent him away and he won't do it. So his servant said to him, well, if you've gone unto the man of God, why wouldn't you do what he said? He ain't getting paid for it. But then when it happened, when he went to him there, he said, well, okay, I'll go and do it. After the servant said to him, why wouldn't you do it? So he went and done it and he went, oh, wow, it's happened. It's come clean. And then he wanted to pay and he went, no, don't get paid for God's work. It's written in the Bible. And then look what happened when Gehazi went there to go and get the payment. He went and took the payment. And what happened? He was cursed with the leprosy. And he went and even brought his other servants there to say, give it unto them so they could get more. So he could get more stuff out of it to get paid more. So in Naaman's mind, now he's thinking, well, I paid for that job because Gehazi came after him, which was bad. So somebody had to get cursed. And it was Gehazi who got cursed because he went and took the money or the talents of whatever he gave them, right? And he even took 2 more people so he could get more stuff. So he went back to Elijah and he said to him, and where have you been? He said, well, look what you went and done. So now you're going to be cursed with the leprosy, and your generations after generations are going to be cursed with that same leprosy because what you've done, because you don't get paid for God's work. So I don't know where all these leaders getting us all these bright ideas of that. You know what? Put that money in the bag and it goes in their pocket. Like even these leaders, they ain't no spiritual leaders. They've gone to universities to learn about this stuff. So anyone could be in a classroom and then you become a spiritual leader, and I've just taught you that. So how does that work then? There's nothing, there's no connection there. All it is a better payday. Because you go there and you study this, you get a salary. And the salary will be this and that much a year, you get a house, you get a car. It doesn't happen like that in Israelite nationwide ministries. We trying to build our temple. He build our house. If he goes back out there, he's teaching this for free. You know what I mean? It's like we getting paid by a God that enriched us from our Father. You know, our treasures is with our God. We've got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But we ain't got the bag holding that, and the money goes in there, and then that goes in my pocket. As you said, Ezekiel, you know, you get paid, and they said when you now want to get money or get help, turn to God. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
So funny. These guys are getting paid big. They're getting paid. They got salary. That Dalarama guy, Dalalama, whatever his name is, he probably just went there, done a little quick course. You know, when I go do a little quick course and then go say, right, you're ready now. Like go here, and he sits down in his big suit and everything like that. And they get paid big time, man. They're rich guys. There's a lot of scammers out there, a lot of false leaders, man. But does these jobs and they're wealthy just by telling a lie. Just by telling a lie. Telling you what you want to hear. You know?
No, yeah, you're not wrong, man. They're playing towards your heart. But you know what? I love how you use the story, because the story really tells you, you know, that the Bible is basic instructions before leaving Earth. And you use those stories to convey what is right and what is wrong. And clearly in that story, that was the wrong thing to do, to accept the money to do God's work. And you see that they're all doing God's work. Well, allegedly doing some God's work. I don't know which God they're doing, but they're doing a God's work. And they're doing it in a way where it's so unholy to the point where they're passing all these children through the fire. They're corrupting everyone. They're leading and misguiding all of the lost sheep of Israel. They're doing so much damage and destruction within our communities. It's incalculable. No one sees it because it's spiritual. But at the same time,
I'll say something as well, Ezekiel.
Yeah,
even with that, these are these times here, right? And even you could go back as Moses, you could go back and all of those guys here. They wouldn't get paid. I mean, like Moses, look, when he went there to Pharaoh, and then he had to go up before Pharaoh and he throw down a stake and he, you know, turn the water into blood and all that, open the sea, and it was all the God of Israel's work, by the way.
Yeah.
Where was his salary, man? Like, wait a minute. What did he? You know, did he put the money in the bank account? Did you look at all the scriptures when he said about paying the 10%? You know, it was the 10% is to build the temple. It's to build You said the story of Solomon when he built the temple and all the stuff that went into it. You know, it wasn't no cheap thing, but it all went into there to build God's house because it should be of the finest of the finest. But it didn't go in our pockets. And then afterwards, we don't have to even look as far as then. We could look at right now. Here we are right now in the Israelite nation. Our elder Shadrach don't get paid. The Supreme Council don't get paid. The priests don't get paid. They're all just doing this work. And they work tirelessly and endlessly. And they be here and they have to teach every week and do this. And then you suffer all of that same abuse where people will chat rubbish and all that. Hey, no, but we ain't getting paid here. We're not getting paid. Like, he should have been a superstar, like doing all his music and his acting and all the stuff he does. And now he's doing God's work.
His people back.
Setting out the message for free, giving you it for nothing. And we want to complain, but we'll run to the line very quickly and do all these foolishness, what they do out there. But then, Elder Shadrach, man, he could have been a superstar, but he dedicated his life to the God of Israel, and the God of Israel chose him to lead and to set this out there. Now we're here, you know, just taking a portion of that to teach the world about this truth. But we ain't getting paid.
You know what?
And you know,
can I say something? Because what you said was so amazing in the sense that when I hear you speak, a quote comes to my mind. You know, like where the heart is, the feet does not hesitate to go. And here at Israel, our heart is for the God of Israel. But outside there in the world, their heart is for the money. and you see how hard they work for their money. You see how far of lies they're about to make, kind of scandals and scams they come up with, and all sorts of shenanigans just to deceive the world and get paid and have that salary. It shows you that their hands are in the devil's pockets. They're dancing with the devil. They're playing in that field and arena. But over here, there's an Israel Ministries. We have everlasting water. Our cup runneth over. We have the God of Israel on our side, where we do the things that are needed and necessary for the preservation of his children. And it requires no deception. It's completely truthful. It's honest, and no one's making money. No one's leaving with big bucks in their pockets. And then it
No.
really goes to show of how our hearts is towards God is and the source and our power, where that comes from, and which is the correct form of teaching, and not from the true prophets, rather from the false prophets.
No, you're 100% correct, man. And like you say, the devil, the hands in the devil's pocket. But as you say, hey, man, the devil could give you things too, So those who want to serve him, he'll give you stuff too. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? You serve him. Look what he done. He had power too, and was able to. He's got a lot of foot soldiers out there. A lot of people's working for him. You got all of them. So as I said, I'd always said in my lesson before, like, if you're not serving the God of Israel, hey man, there's the other umbrella, which is Satan, which is covered. He covers the whole lot. That's as simple as it gets. But we don't get paid. And our elder shadow don't get paid, man. He's written books. He's putting all these things there. And the reason why I know it is because of him. I would never know that. And the God of Israel opened my eyes and my ears and allow me to receive it, like why we're here today.
But I suppose as well as what you've said about Ezekiel, about the false prophets. Okay, so there's many that will go out there and try and hinder people to hear the beautiful lie, because it sounds so nice. It sounds so soothing to your heart. It's what you want to hear. But whereas the Israelite nation, we come with the truth, which hurts and it's blunt, but it's good for your soul, because that's the only thing that can make you serve your God, the God of Israel.
You know what? I hear you say that, and it reminds you, everyone would rather have a beautiful lie rather than an ugly truth, and just demonstrates it very, very well, But it is what it is, I guess. Well, onto false prophets, though. I think it's a really good segue towards our next scripture, which is Jeremiah 23, from the first verse, because I think this is it's a huge segue, but it's to build the narrative, the narrative and the setting of what we're really dealing with here, and the current situation here today on Earth. Want to take it away, Auntie Natalie?
Yeah, I'll go and read that one. So Jeremiah 23, from the first verse. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith the Lord.
Yeah,
Even
so
go on. Go.
Yeah, but like right there, this is exactly what we're talking about. So you have the pastors out there that are telling everyone they need money, so they should give the money into as tithes, and they'll tell everyone else that they want money, go to God. That's dumb. That's dumb. The Bible's talking about. This is what Jeremiah is talking about right now. That they're scattering the sheep, that they're doing all sorts of evil against the people. They're anti-Israel.
Yep, right. And they're feeding them and feeding them and feeding them and lying, scattered them so far from the truth, so far that they can't even turn on to their God, so far that they don't even believe that the King James Version is the Bible of the true and living God, so far that they will serve other gods, Baal, whoever else. And this is what these pastors do.
That's anti-Israel behavior. Terrible. Poison. Poison.
And verse 3, I will continue. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord.
That's the Israelite Nation Ministries right there.
Amen. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine have overcome, because of the Lord, and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of adulterers. For because of swearing, the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith the Lord. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein, for I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith the Lord. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people Israel to err.
Mm.
Seen also the prophets of Jerusalem, an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and inhabitants thereof are Gomorrah.
Hold on, before you even go on, like I think what you just read there describes a lot of what we just pretty much just said already. But the whole strengthening the hands of the evildoers, especially those that are in higher places. When you give them your attention, your thought, your time, your energy, your money, you're enabling them to do more damage within our society. You're enabling them to change and alter our cultures. You're enabling them to have more influences within our schools and public systems. You're just contributing to the whole mass of corruption and evil and malign intentions that all of these false prophets are trying to spread throughout the world for a salary. Like we mentioned before, they're in the devil's pockets. They're
Mm,
in the devils plural. So that's all those other false gods, and God is a spirit because we already know that because all those the fallen heavenly host, them lot in particular, they take up positions, they take up certain areas within they lead, such as Baal, such as Moloch, and a few others. And even while we're reading it over here, how prophets are here praising and uplifting Baal and causing the people of Israel to just go away and stray away and turn away from the God of Israel. That's
mm,
all right there. Yeah, man. It's a repeat situation.
mm, mm. Definitely. And verse 15, I've got two more verses. Therefore, therefore doth saith the Lord of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain, they speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of the Lord.
Mm,
They say still unto them that despise me, the Lord hath said, Ye shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, No, evil shall come upon you. So even that, right? The God of Israel will say, You have peace, and they say contrary, as is this world. The God of Israel is giving you law, statutes, and commandments to follow, and and outside we do contrary to his law, statutes, and commandments. And you can see why he hates these prophets.
hmm A complete 180. And I love how it talks about the heart because remember the quote we just mentioned just now, where the heart is, the feet does not hesitate to go. These people's feet are in the pits of hell. Like look how evil this stuff is. Their heart is literally geared towards doing the wrong thing. That's in their it's in themselves to do those things, which is just crazy.
Their own intentions. Their
It's
own.
crazy, though, isn't it? Like he said about don't listen to those prophets, and the prophets would, be feeding with the wormwood, and that they would do all these things of to mislead you, and you'll think of that. But wait a minute, are you a prophet? Because I'm telling you now, you got a lot of people who claim to be prophets, man. They're not
Mm,
prophets, but they're false prophets. They would lead you up the wrong path, man. You know what I mean? Lead you astray, and especially if your foundation is not strong, man, you'll be easily gone. That's why, and as I said, they target our children. Our
Mm,
children is targeted. Even some of the adults are targeted. So you know what I mean? It's like That's why even the God of Israel wants you when you're strong and you're young and you're fit, and you know what I mean? But some people want to turn to their God is when they're old and mash up and they ain't got nothing. Well, I mean, if you're just getting this now, it's not a problem. I'm not saying that, you ain't got this now, because other people are thinking, oh, wait a minute, up as I'm old now, I can't serve God. No, it's not saying that. But when you was young and you knew about this, why didn't you come then? Why are you gonna wait until you're old? I'm gonna live out my life first, and then and then come back when I'm of no use. You know what I mean? You knew when you're fit and strong, but then that's what the world wants too. They want you when you're young and vibrant, and because they get the most out of you. Well, there have to be these false prophets, these false leaders, these people coming out there, and that was the devil's job in the first place. To deceive you, to mislead you, so you don't serve the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's his job. But everyone will claim that they're serving the true and living God. And these guys are sitting down there, filling up their pockets. They're rich and everything, and doing all these things with your money and telling you a lie. And everybody runs there. Even in Deuteronomy 7, it said that you was the fewest of people, man. Amos, like, it said that we're the least of people. What? Because he loved us and he swore an oath unto our forefathers that, you know what, he's going to keep this covenant with us. It doesn't matter how many there are, we are the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people want to see the multitude, but then that's who the devil's got. He's got most of you guys. You know what I mean? You've got all these places where all these false prophets are at, teaching this word, or a word, a lie, and bringing it all onto them. They become gods. They become gods. You're serving them. And I tell you what to do. It's a bad thing, man. But hey, God was going to deal with that.
And it's, as you said, they have the world, but they still want Israel. They still pay for the salt of the earth.
We're the main target.
Yeah, man, crazy.
Why would the devil try to come after you if he's got you already? Come on, man. Like, why would he want you? You're already doing his work. You're pleasing him. You feel like that. You'd be standing there, stamping your feet. Get behind me, Satan, and he's just laughing. Well done, guys. Well done. Good performance. And you belong to me anyway, so you know what I mean. It doesn't mean nothing. It's true, though, isn't it?
You're already in his kingdom.
Exactly.
You're already
under the umbrella. You know what I mean. But you got to still put in the performance, man. Standing screaming on street corners and that, like, no, not gonna help you, man. You know what I mean? That's the truth. We're giving you for free.
All right, but let's go to our next chapter. Just to bring this home and really, give everyone the bigger picture. We go to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15. I think Nancy got that.
Yeah, I've got that. I'll read that one again. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 18, from verse 15. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Lord said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. And I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if thou say in thine heart, How shall we know the word which the Lord have not spoken? When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord have not spoken. But the prophet have spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him.
Perfect. See, this right here in my eyes is the separation between the sheep and the sheep wolves. Sheep wolves being the other side, and the sheep being Israel. Because Israel has always been described as sheep throughout the Bible. But here you're seeing how the God of Israel operates. How when He chooses His prophets, it's directly from Him, and that those things will come true. The God of Israel has a plan. He has a purpose. He does things meticulously. He has a way in which we should go and not follow into the world. And it's very clear. compared to all those sheep wolves, compared to all those people that are dressed wolves in sheep clothing that are ready to mislead you, misguide you, and inevitably destroy you.
And also as well, is that even in that scripture, his prophets will speak from what he's saying. They
Mm,
won't go their own intentions of their own sayings. It's always what the God of Israel is saying. They listen. They're obedient. They listen, and because
mm,
they know by them going off tangent what that will lead to, and it's not of the God of Israel's wishes. It's of their own.
exactly.
And it's
And
always to keep people back, never to scatter them.
100%, 100%. And but that's why I'm always thankful for the structure that we have and for the guidance that we have. But most in particularly the spirit in which we congregate under, the spirit of truth. It's with all of us. You know in your heart, what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing. You feel it when you do wrong. You feel it in your heart. For those that truly believe in what they in the God of Israel, it's not something you could scam your way out of like all these other people do. It's like your heart has to really be there for the God of Israel, and if it's not, then you'll be weaved out easily, because how things are structured and formed is bulletproof. There's no way you can fool or deceive, you know, the when it comes to God of Israel. It just doesn't work that way, especially when you don't have the spirit of truth.
Mm. That's exactly it. The spirit of truth.
You're on mute, by the way, priest Ricardo.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's so true, man. It's like, you know what? There's one thing, Ezekiel, what you said earlier on when we first opened up, and you talked about the body, and that mentioned in First Corinthians 12, I believe, about the body and about the oneness, and we're all working for that same self thing. That one spirit works within us all for that one direction,
Mm,
that one goal, and when you really look at it, you're thinking like, wow, like we as a community all working together as one. There's a oneness, it's a one connection. We all have the same drive, the same goal. Like some people will say, oh yeah, we're part of you, we do the same thing. No, you don't, but you call upon a different God. We call upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
mm.
There's a certain way what we do. We baptize, we circumcise, we keep the Passover, there's things what we do. So why we call ourselves Israelites.
We
So
actually follow.
when you making of the claim of the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, it's only been given to us by who keeps the law and do these things. Like in Romans 9, what did it say? It gives us a scripture. This is our creed. We've got the giving of the law, the service of God, the adoption, the promises. We have all these things, and we've been given that right. So even when we're saying serving our God, we've been only the people on this planet, the Israelite nation, the Israelites who He's chosen to keep up this, to even to say we're serving Him. So when people say, "Oh yeah, but I serve the same God as you," but how do you do it? What do you do to serve this God?
Mm.
Do you
Mm.
keep even the Passover? Do you even know His name? Do you call upon Him? You can't say you're serving somebody you don't even call upon. How does that work? You don't even know who He is. And it's the same thing what the God of Israel said, that I don't know you.
Mm.
And you're thinking, oh, well, God made everyone, so you could do what you want. So you become a spiritual Israelite now. You become all different types of Israelites. So the Israelites now is a
Hebrew,
I'm
Israelite,
tired of you. So yeah,
Christian.
Hebrew Israelite, Christian Israelite, Israelite. You're becoming all these things. Okay, call yourself what you want. There's so many, but are you keeping up the stuff? Are you keeping up the laws, the statute, commandments? Are you following these things? Are you doing what we do?
You know what?
Because as I said, like there's only one elder Shadrach, and he's taught us this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And there's only one Supreme Council. Like we've been given this, and it's not like to say, like, why are we here now? Because we want to teach everybody of the greatness of our God and what He has done for us. We're opening our eyes, so we've all got a purpose now. So we're teaching out there for you guys to come also. Tune in every week, Friday, Saturday. We're here all the time. You can find us all around the world now. Like we're here trying to deliver this message to you, so you can understand, so you know how great our God is.
Mm.
So okay, I mean, come along, join us.
100%. Just to even Velcro off of what you just said just now. in regards to our actions, what we do as Israelites, and how we serve our God. I think one of the most prominent things to remember and keep in mind is like a person's belief is demonstrated through their actions. Your actions will tell you, people's actions will tell you what they believe. And if your actions are not based in the things that you preach, then you don't believe the things that you're preaching. You're a false preacher. So when you look at those people that say, "Oh, I believe in God, I believe in the Bible," but yet they're not doing nothing within the Bible that says, these are the things you're supposed to do, they're a liar. They don't believe those things. They're a
They
full
believe in
on
a
liar.
God.
They're a Decepticon. Oh yeah, they're Decepticon. That's pretty much that's what they are. Because your actions will tell you otherwise. When you look at all the prophets, when you look at all the leaders of Israel, their actions were the biggest thing that was a testimony of their character. You look at David. David did wrong in the sight of the Lord, and the first thing he did was fast for 7 days and repent because he did wrong. He felt it in his heart. That right there is a true Israelite. When you look at Moses, his actions were a demonstration of what he believed in, and all the other biblical biblical figures that were worth writing about, the ones that did good in the God of Israel's eyes. Their actions really showed you what they believe, how they leaned on the God of Israel when it came in time of despair or tragedy. But you look into the world, their actions say otherwise. They will deceive, they would lie to you, they would backstab you just to get a result with no value. And so then you have to think, what do they believe? They believe in the devil. They believe in false gods. They believe in the lies. They believe in the fallen angels. They believe in Moloch and Baal. Your actions, you will know them by the way of their fruit, which is what we're going to get to just now. But actions speak louder than words, always and all the time.
You're gonna go to you're so right, man. As I said, you just need to watch and see what they do to know if they're telling the truth. I mean, you see the actions of that guy there. I mean, is that correct? Is that really correct? I mean, would you go that way? I mean, do I have to even say that? Like, is that correct? I mean, but he's at the top. Like, I know they apologized, which they accepted it, and you can't control what each do, but for you to do that in front of everyone, I don't know. But as I said, this is what these false guys would do. They would do these things, and you'll follow after them. Easy.
Disturbing.
No.
Disturbing.
And that wasn't the first time he's done that.
Oh, 100%. He's
No,
got
no,
he's got caught this time.
practice. That's rehearsed.
But you know what? Now that you said,
That was like how many times? It's the
their,
first
their
time we got
office,
caught though.
their office wasn't sorry. They weren't sorry for their actions. They were sorry that they got caught. That's what it was.
There
Exactly.
you go.
They were sorry that they got caught because they didn't get caught. Then they would probably still doing it now. Who knows? But like it just really says a lot about what's going on in the world. Even how we made those references before of all those other places, and they may say that they're sorry too, but no, they're all sorry that they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
If no one called attention to it, they would probably still. They're still not doing it now, but
Well, is Ezekiel 700? One of the examples you gave, 700 victims in one situation. Do you get what I mean? So
crazy.
these examples that you gave earlier. So that's just in one situation. So the amount of abuse that is
Madness.
around.
And keep in mind those are children. So they're gonna grow up eventually, have interactions with other people, and even have their children that have bigger extended family members. And who knows what those children are gonna be doing to their other children based off of that experience. Trauma breeds more trauma. It's a known
It's
thing.
funny,
Trauma breeds more trauma.
but it's grooming. All this is grooming. Also, do you understand what I mean? It's young children. It's funny. There's the scripture. I don't know if we mentioned it today. Train up the child in the way they should go, and then when they're old enough, I'm summarizing, they will not depart. Now that's what we, as an Israelite nation, we believe that for our children. But every other religion is doing the same thing. This what's happened with this young child with the scenario we mentioned in the first place. That's not that happens, and the children are becoming used to that, and they know that this is what happens because they become normalized, and then they go on and do. And it talks about what you talked about with regards to the trauma. They're just doing what they've been trained to do.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate and ungodly.
I mean, that was one of the things I did want to read what you
Oh,
what you
sorry.
said.
It's
No, it's fine. I mean, it's all part of it, you know what I mean? But as I said, it is what you were saying, to train up the child in the way he shall go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? Because it's like he's embedding him. That's what I read Deuteronomy 6. He said, let it be the front between your eyes when you raise up and when you lay down, when you go in your house, let it be in the post of your gates. But this should be well with you. And we should respect that. So when you train them up so long, it becomes natural.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on a weekend thing. Like, oh, I'm an Israelite today because today is a Sabbath or new moon or whatever. No, you'll be when you get up. Oh, thank you, God. Like, how many people didn't wake up today? Even when you're going to do things, you're going to go in the shop or you're going to sit down and someone's going to have a nice meal unto their God and address the table and everything, and you're going to sit at the table and partake of it. No, I'm an Israelite. I've been trained not to go and eat and partake in these things of serving other gods. You know what I mean? Because you pay homage, you do these things to other gods. So I'll train my child not to do that. So we don't partake in those things because we've been trained, and that's what that's saying. That. So when you get older now, you're going to think, you know what? This is the same God that my parents and my uncles and aunties taught me. So I'm looking to follow the same way. And when they have their children and their children, you keep training them also. And that's how the line goes.
100%. 100%. It's a big one right there. Well, let's touch on the final book of the day, because I think this is going to bring everything home. You go to Matthew. Yeah, Matthew chapter 7, 13 to 23. You got the scripture, Ricardo?
Yeah.
All right.
13, right? Matthew 7, 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thread, because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it, which is very true, right? And where it narrows that down is you've got the few. You're looking, thinking, well, there's only a few people there. And the only one's going to go in the little narrow bit, the bit where it's very fine, but that's the correct way. But people's going to see the broad way, the broad road, and going to go other different directions. Anyway, let's say that.
Before you go, I just want to quickly add, because very few will find it. That means very few will make it. But then somehow, certain organizations are 1 billion people strong. 1 billion people have made it allegedly for some of these institutions, which is crazy.
Yeah, because it's like the wide, okay, this is narrative. The wide road is like this, yeah, and you're going directly to the Israelite nation, worldwide ministry, allegiance to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And then you've got the wide one like this. Now you've got, I don't know what the name. There's too many, right? There's too many. So you've got like so many there, like they're just going like it is going to all different directions. And one of them you might be going to, that guy there, who's out there. One of them's going to go to him, and one of them's going to go to some next shrine there, and some. We don't want to name all of those guys. It's almost like giving them credit, right? So you're going to go to all of them, and that wideness is the umbrella of Satan, but that is the destruction. There's nothing there's no foundation there, there's nothing there. Anyway, let's go on to 15. Beware of false prophets. Hey, there we go. Which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raven wolves. Yeah, because they look great. They dress up in the right attire and they're like, wow, look at you. Hey, there's a wolf under that, boy. It's going to eat you up. Make you do all manner of things. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns or figs or thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewed down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. That's another story because I know everyone's gonna think of heaven and enter into heaven. It's the kingdom of heaven. That's another story, but just keep tuning on and you hear that story, right? Which has been given so many times, right? And as I said, in verse 21, let me just go in there. He says, Lord, Lord. Not everyone's going to say, because you're saying, Lord, Lord, and you're saying the right words, that you are that people. Because nowadays, because we pull it out there, they've got the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, circumcision, name, and all this stuff. Everyone's catching on now. And now everyone's getting a bright idea. Thinking, oh, well, I call upon this God too. But wait a minute. You call upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and just before you call upon him, or after you finish calling upon him, you've got a whole feast and there's a nice roasted pig. Well, not a nice roasted pig, but it'll be there and you'll be eating that and you're thinking, oh, you know what? Where? I'm serving the true living God. No, you're not. Don't lie.
Rubbish.
So I'm just saying that because I just want to make it clear. It doesn't mean because you're calling upon him or, okay, I'm a whole Israelite now, but you know what? I'm not there. I don't want to join you guys, but I'm gonna be this Israelite, and I'm gonna. I know it, but I call upon God, so you're good now. So you're a follower of your own destruction. Because in the day, I think somebody read that. I think you might have read it already, Ezekiel, about the leaders of your own understanding, these false prophets, of their own thing, of doing their own will. But there's an instruction, and where did you get the instruction from? You're only going to learn this from the Israelite nation, by the way. You're not going to learn it nowhere else. So why wouldn't you want to join us? So you're going to catch everything and say, I'm going to do it by myself. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, verse 22?
No, you're in 21.
21. Not everyone that, oh no, I read that, 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. Again, you cast out devil and done many wonderful works. The devil will do this. Okay, well, you work for me. I'm going to let you perform this act right now. And it's a deception. It's to make you believe that this is what it is and you're going to go follow them. It's like, didn't you see when Pharaoh, he threw down the snake and the staff, and he done things too, you know? He done things too. But as I said, like Moses snake out of his snake. But the thing about it, it shows that they could do things too. The devil could give you things too. He could bring the world ring and cast out fire and all that. Well, he could do things too. Don't get it twisted. So why wouldn't he allow you to do these things to make it, okay, well, I'll give you this one, because it's going to keep you where you are.
Yeah.
No one buy your fruits, what they're doing otherwise. And then you're going to see if they're the truth. Like you're giving them money for them to get their salary. That's one of them. I'm just saying. Okay.
23.
23. And then will I prophets unto them, I knew you not. I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
See,
Therefore, whosoever.
Wait, that's it.
Huh?
That's it. Up to the 23rd verse.
Okay. Well, let me just read this one.
All right.
Therefore, so whoever shall hear these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken unto him, unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock. Right? Because at the end of the day, listen to the instruction. Hear this. Hear what this is actually saying. Right? It's because it's giving you some type of direction to make you understand. It's not because you're going to call upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that you are that people. Right? It's not because you're going to say the right words that you are that people. And you're going to be sitting at home and doing all manner of things. It doesn't mean that. It's the whole package. It's the whole thing what you do. You know what I mean? We baptize, we suck, we keep all these things. You can't just cut out the rest of it. I'm an Israelite because I call upon this name and I'm good to go. But it says it right there. They'll come to me and I say, I never knew you. I don't know who you are. What? Because you're doing all these little miracles and everything, and taking money from people and doing all these things to children. I mean, I don't know you. You know what I mean? So we have to look at these things and thinking, well, who is the truth? Who do you go to? You just have to see. And what we do here, no one in the world does.
Mm.
No one keeps the Passover like us, or all the days and the statutes and the laws. We don't do these. People don't do these things.
You'll know them by their fruits, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. No matter fruit, what they do.
And it's funny because they'll profess that they do, but then you find their days are wrong, or their new moons are wrong, or everything's wrong. So they say they do, but everything's wrong.
And you know what? Just even Velcro off of that, because it talks about how a good tree and a bad tree. But an Israelite tree is planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth its fruit in the season. His leaf does not falleth over. Like it's basic. It's right there and then. The way we're brought up, the way we do and construct our things, and what we prosper out of it, the growth that comes from it. It's all a testimony of our actions. But you look on the other side and you look at their tree, how it's soaked in the blood and the death of all the people that they forced and they converted out of fear, or all the evil things that they've done. It's a huge separation, a huge difference between us and them. We're sanctified. We have the God of Israel. Well, they have the devil. But we'll go into that too much. But yeah, in essence, you know us, you know them by our action. Our action will separate us from them, though. Crazy.
It's a it's a real sad thing though, because it's like we see what we want to. It's like almost like you want to do what you want to do. You see what you want to see, really. Because it said, like, we've been around for so many years and we've been pointing these things out. And instead of you joining us, they would go and make up their own stuff. So that means you're creating a lie, because you can't find what they do in there. You know what I mean? You can't find what they do. So it's almost like you want to go down that path. You stand up there and lie and make up all these things where you don't even see them. But the world will just somehow just lean them that way. And it's fine. And that's why our children now, because the children are going to come up and do the same thing. But this is what they've been taught. So it's just cycles after cycles after cycles. And it's going through the generations. It's going to keep going and going and going and going and going. So it's the same with us. We've got to just keep on going and going and going with teaching our children and making sure they're coming the correct way. And hopefully they're strong enough and their foundation deep enough that they stay on this path. But there's a lot of corruption out there in the world.
I definitely hear you on that one. But I see that we're coming to an end right now. Antonella, you have any final remarks you like to say on the topic of passing your child through the fire?
Just thinking about what we've spoken about today. Just open up your eyes. Constantly opens up your eyes to what we go against in order to stay on the straight and narrow path. You take what you've spoken about in the examples you've given, knowing how hard it is to raise children in this society when we go against the tide. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But the God of the Supreme Council of Elder Shadrach, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our brethren, we're just a community, which is what was discussed before. We're good. We're good.
No, I definitely hear you. On well, at least from my point of view, the message I want to leave with the audience, at least, is don't pass your child through the fire. Just don't pass your child through the fire. Don't sacrifice their innocence for a gain. Don't corrupt them, because at the end of the day, children, they're the most vulnerable, but they have the most potential. The most potential. They're receptive, extremely receptive, untapped potential, very gifted. You don't know who you have or who you're dealing with, especially if you're an Israelite. I can't really talk for the world, but either way, they're very special in the sense that they're going to grow up to be something or be someone, and what they experience in their youth will be reflected later on when they become an adult. Their character is going to say a lot for them and the household that they come from. And so it's very important that we take the time to educate, teach, nurture, and raise our children to our foremost ability, and not pervert them or corrupt them because of our own selfishness. And so I hope, if you're listening to this today, that you really take this to heart, and see that, the child that you have in your house, in your possession, is someone special, and someone that's going to grow into someone that's going to be worthy of respecting one day, depending on how you choose to raise them. And I hope when you do raise them, you consider the God of Israel, and keep them a part of that process throughout the whole process, from the beginning and to the end. But yeah, that's my thoughts, at least. Anything you want to say, Priest Ricardo?
No, that's it. I think we set the message out there straight, and I'm sure that if you didn't catch that, I don't know what you might catch, but hey, it's like I hope you enjoyed what we spoke about, because I think it's very important that we know, and that we could start looking to our children, and seeing where their whereabouts and where they're going and what they're doing, and try to lead them in the correct way, and don't feed them onto these wolves, that's up in the sheep's clothing, because it's very dangerous. I know I said that societies with our children most of the time, and there's a lot of corruption out there. But it's just so sad that all these people will get away with these things and what they do, because we trying to teach the world this truth and let them understand of who we are, and it's done for free, but just some the lie prevails at times, and gets to the places quicker than we could get them. But I hope you enjoyed it. We're here every week. Thank you for listening, for those who's out there, and keep tuning in every week. Like even tomorrow, we're on again. So yeah, hope you got something out of this lesson. You want to say anything, Natalie?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
Yep, that's it.
Anyways, peace.
Peace.
Peace.